Welcome to ValueBridge.net, your paint-by-numbers resource for value creation in private equity deals, funds, GPs, and investment programs. This is Module 1 on the net multiple of invested capital and the net internal rate of return. It's something we cover extensively in the book Private Equity Value Creation Analysis and on the Exilia Mathematica website and YouTube page. Check those out if you're looking for comprehensive explanations about how and why the math works. Here at ValueBridge.net, we skip the theory and proofs to provide just what's necessary to build your models within the next couple of hours. Let's jump right in. You're a private equity GP, and these are the gross returns for your most recent fund. By gross, we mean that the numbers exclude management fees, fund expenses, carried interest, and other fund-level items. Now, you are quite proud of this deal right here called Echo Company. It has a 3x gross multiple and a 55% gross IRR. So naturally, you want to feature this deal in your fundraising presentations. But along come the lawyers, the compliance consultants, and maybe even the SEC, and they say that according to the new marketing rules, whenever you show a deal's gross return, you must also show its net returns. Now, the fundamental challenge here is that net returns do not exist for deals like Echo Company. You can show a real net return for the entire fund down at the bottom like this, but at the deal level, net multiples and net IRRs are nothing more than hypothetical model-driven estimates. They rely on ambiguous assumptions about fees, expenses, and carry, and they rarely take into account real-world fund dynamics like credit facilities, recycling, and management fee offsets. Effectively, that makes deal-level net returns fake returns, but these facts have not stopped the regulators from asking for them. So let us at least try to build fake net return models that are robust, reliable, easy to update, and less susceptible to manipulation, because you won't be able to change the result by arbitrarily moving around the fee, expense, and carry deductions. Well, it turns out that the Value Bridge framework, the same one that we use to understand things like EBITDA growth, multiple expansion, and leverage, can help us do this faster and easier than most people imagine. We'll start with the gross multiple of invested capital, or simply gross multiple. This is fund dollars out of the company divided by fund dollars into the company, or the gross return divided by gross invested capital. To convert this to a net multiple of invested capital, we'll need to make the numerator smaller to account for carried interest, and the denominator bigger to account for fees and expenses. This formula here makes those adjustments with addition and subtraction. However, we can make our models much more scalable by performing those adjustments with multiplication and division. So, let us decrease the numerator by dividing by a carry multiplier and increase the denominator by multiplying by a fee and expense multiplier. Both these multipliers have a minimum of 1 and generally can range up to about 1.2 or 1.25. And what they allow us to do is express the net multiple as the gross multiple divided by the two multipliers. The F&E multiplier is equal to 1 plus percent F, or 1 plus the fund's total fees and expenses divided by gross invested capital. Here, let us say that F&E is $25 million, so percent F will be 25 over 180, which is 13.9%, and the fund's F&E multiplier is 1.139. The carry multiplier is equal to this expression right here. It looks pretty complicated, but it's easy to plug into a calculator or into an Excel spreadsheet. Max just sets the minimum to 1, so there's no negative carry, and then all we need is the carry rate, which is usually 20%, percent F that we calculated earlier, and one of the gross multiples that we can pull from the table above. Now, it turns out that there are two ways to calculate carried interest. If we want Echo Company's deal-by-deal net return, where carry is not influenced by the returns of other deals in the portfolio, then we use Echo Company's gross multiple of 3x in the formula. This gives us a deal-by-deal carry multiplier of 1142, and when we plug it into the net multiple expression, we get a deal-by-deal net multiple of 2.307. If we want a pooled net return, where Echo Company's carry is influenced by the returns of other deals in the portfolio, then we plug the portfolio's gross multiple of 1722 into the formula. This gives us a pooled carry multiplier of 1073, and when we plug it into the net multiple expression, we get a pooled net multiple of 2.456. Now, the great thing about this multiplier-driven model is that you can copy and paste the formulas to calculate the net return for every row on the table, like this. Here, all the deals are using the fund's carry multiplier of 1073, so all the deals have net multiples with pooled carried interest. To convert it over to a deal-by-deal carried interest net return model, we just need to use that formula to calculate a unique carry multiplier for each row, and this will give us all of our deal-by-deal carry net multiples as follows. All right, we have all the net multiples that we could ask for, but what about the net IRRs? Is this the part where we need to start building cash flow spreadsheets? Actually, no. We can do that just using the numbers we already have here on the table. We start by modeling IRR as a compounded annual growth rate, or CAGR, like this. The CAGR and IRR formulas are actually equal when deals have only two cash flows, one in and one out. But our model is going to work even when there are many cash flows within an individual deal or a portfolio of deals. The net IRR is equal to the net multiple raised to the power of 1 over the effective holding period minus 1. Note that I said the effective holding period. We don't want to just take the difference between the entry and exit dates. Instead, we calculate the effective hold as the natural log of the gross multiple divided by the natural log of 1 plus the gross IRR. This is a dollar-weighted duration that accounts for all of the inflows and outflows that can occur during a holding period. If there's only two cash flows, this number always equals the holding period in years. However, if there are more than two cash flows, from a follow-on investment or early distribution, the number will be less than the actual hold and drive the IRR higher because the return was achieved with less capital at risk or in play. For Echo Company, the effective hold is the natural log of 3 divided by the natural log of 1 plus 0.5522. And this gives us 2.5 years, which you'll notice is 6 months shorter than its actual hold of 3 years. Now, to calculate Echo Company's net IRR, we simply take its deal-by-deal net multiple of 2.307, raise it to the power of 1 over 2.5, and then subtract 1 to get a deal-by-deal net IRR of 39.74%. And that's it. This number is virtually identical to what you would get from a cash flow model, and we can use the math to calculate a net IRR for every row on this table. This is a huge time saver. If you did this the old-fashioned way, you would need to create 11 different cash flow spreadsheets with 11 different sets of fee, expense, and carried interest assumptions. Here, we calculate 11 net IRRs without ever touching a cash flow spreadsheet, and all we need is the net multiple and the effective hold, which comes from the gross multiple and gross IRR. And unlike the underlying cash flows, these numbers are almost always given to us in GP reporting and fund marketing materials. So here we have net IRRs with deal-by-deal carried interest. All we need to do is replace those deal-by-deal carry multipliers with a funds multiplier of 1073, and this gives us pooled carried interest net IRRs for all the deals as follows. So that wraps up Module 1. You'll find everything described in more detail at valuebridge.net. There you can download Excel templates that include both the deal-by-deal and pooled carry portfolio models. You can use the site's online calculator to make sure that your own spreadsheets are giving you the right answers. You can follow links to reference materials with additional proofs and case studies. And you can get in touch with me using the site's forum or contact page. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.